Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Notre Dame Primetime Live. I am your host, Ryan Fravel, with my co-host, Ben. We are back for another episode. Sean could not join us tonight. He's got some personal stuff going on, so it'll just be us two tonight. So it'll be a pretty quick, show tonight. Ben, we got fall camp to talk about. We got the coaches poll that recently dropped. With both of those, obviously, you get a ton of overreaction from the fan base. Got some updates on Elijah Golden, who commits here on Saturday. Seemed like that's trending very well for Notre Dame. So we'll talk, and also we'll break down, little early thoughts on Boise State. So we got a decent, little packed show tonight. But first thing first, fall camp. We've been almost our weekend now, just about. A lot of overreactions. What are your thoughts so far on everything we're hearing? I know the quarterback battle has been a huge thing. I've even saw some things about evidently the receivers struggling to get off against the corners that we have. All right, what are your thoughts so far on what you've heard?
I was lagging there. Can you repeat the question?
Just everything you've heard from fall camp so far. Any thoughts, concerns?
Everything I've heard, of course, the biggest thing is the CJ Carr 3-pick first practice. That's everything I'm gonna say is gotta be about the quarterbacks, because realistically, I'm not gonna lie to you. Everything else is just gotta work itself out. With our offensive line, I think we're gonna make the best decision. Linebacker room, I think we know the 3 linebackers we're going with, and then of course we're gonna rotate players in and out. Defensive line, I trust in our coaches. Cornerbacks, we have the best corners in the country. And then safeties, Aaron Schuler is going to win a freaking award this year because he's so freaking good. And what's his name? Got the picked off card twice.
Tay Johnson.
Tay Johnson's probably got a ball out this year too. The biggest thing with the quarterback room right now, and you have to look back, and it's just what Gino said was correct. He said, or what Denbrock said was correct. He said Kenny Minchey has no reason he can't be the starting quarterback. I think people are forgetting that even though one of these guys is not going to be the starting quarterback, they would start at most Group of Five, all of Group of Five schools, most, I would say, Power Five schools. I would say Minchey and Carr would start at almost every Big Ten school except for probably 4, or be at least in the starting conversation, probably winning the job. Same with SEC, same with Pac-12 now? Same with definitely Big 12. Minshew would probably be the second best quarterback in the Big 12 this year if he got the whole process of playing as a sophomore, coming back as a junior. But the biggest thing that we need to notice is that this is a process. This is going to be a whole. We're not going to know anything until the second to last week of before the season starts. Who's got to be a starting quarterback? And what it really sounds like is that Kenny Minchey did not separate himself enough to more of basically put the competition away. If you realistically, you hear that Minchey and Carr had similar practices from the coaches. What did Minchey do that made it similar to having 3 interceptions, even though one of them is not Carr's fault? KK Smith needs to learn how to catch football. Yeah. But how is that not separating enough for him to say Kenny Minchey had a better practice and he was looking better than Carr? Something has to happen there. And what it sounds like is that Minchey, a lot of it's just the arm accuracy and the mental side of the game, just looking down the field and not taking the right reads. But we'll see. That's all second-hand account. Nothing said by the coaches.
Yeah, and again, I don't understand. I really don't understand what. There's this misconception going on that I've heard. I've even seen in the group chat today when I checked the group chat that the reason why Carr is getting so much hype, the media is acting like it's almost it's Carr's team and he has to do something really bad in fall camp to lose it, is only because of his last name. I completely disagree, because I think that if you've just watched, and I think the staff has as well, in the games, not practice, but in the games that we've seen, the 2 spring games we've watched, Carr's looked like the better quarterback. the things and now in practice, again, Minchie. Every time I've read anything about practice over the last couple of years, it seems like Minchie's better. To me, I don't know how you feel, Ben. I take more into what you do in a game than what you do in practice,
Yeah,
personally.
my big thing is that there were spring games that we're talking
Yes.
about, which are basically practices. If we're being realistic here, like
Yep.
there's competitions everywhere, but they're basically practices. My and I agree. Like you have to look at certain things with games, and you have to look at certain things with practices. But you can't. It can't be your be all end all. You have to look at the player you have, and we have to look at the mental ability. Which also, Gino Dolly needs to learn how to shut the hell up. Like it's not even funny. Why would you go out there to the media and say, "Oh, Carr doesn't like doing sprint or doing warm-ups with his teammates"? That makes Carr look like he's not a teammate first type of player. It makes Carr like, oh my! It's just Gino
Well,
Dooley. Who is Gino Dooley's uncle? How did he? How is he keeping this job? Who did Teddy Gerard say I'm only covered if Gino doesn't get fired? The only reason why. It's just
do you think
it,
that he said it to the media because he doesn't like it from a coaching standpoint? That because
go
the thing that
coach you a
bothers me,
player. You do not say that to the media,
because then
especially when you, as a quarterbacks coach, haven't produced shit. Steven
yeah,
Jelly is his last production quarterback he had that like did something like Tyler Buckner. I guess no, Tyler Buckner was around the
no,
team
because
when they got him.
Gino wasn't here for
Yeah,
Tyler
Gino
Buck.
wasn't there for Buckner. Yeah,
He wasn't here for Sam Hartman.
well
I
Hartman was a transfer.
Yeah, and Hartman was a transfer. Riley, well, you can't really give him credit for Riley because Riley
Riley
was
was a transfer.
a transfer. Yeah,
Steven Jelly is the only player Gino Fadoli has anything to be a part of, and everything with Stephen Jelly is all mental. Like he was a great which I guess you could actually say is a little bit of in Jelly or Gino, but it's just so oh my, why would you say that to the media? You're basically saying it up to be that oh your quarterback isn't a team player, like or your quarterback's on the comment oh he really likes to get in reps. He can't he's jittery. Are you saying he has like the
yeah.
yips? Like Gino and I just know. Oh my god.
Well, and then you put your quarterback on the spot because you give that to the media, and then what's the first thing that they're going to ask Carr, which is what they did when he came to the podium is,
I was
hey, why
they're
don't
gonna
you
ask. Yeah,
why don't you like warming up with your teammates? Like he's probably like, who told you guys that? Like, and then obviously then you see the videos from fall camp of him, not he's away from the team, and it makes it look like he's
looks like
not a
he's on
team
his own.
guy, like he's on his own doing his own thing while everybody else is. And then you get the narrative of some people in the fan like, see, this is why Carr can't be the starter. He's jittery. What is he going to do if he's jittery for a practice? What's he going to be like for a game? And he's not a team guy. He'd rather go do his own thing than practice. He's too good for the team. Like, it's so dumb. And I get it because we're fans and there's not much going on right now in terms of sports. We're all excited
What are
for
you talking
football to
about?
be back.
Women's basketball is so fun to watch.
Yeah. Uh, um, like, I get it, right? We're all excited. But it's to a point where, as our good buddy 229 will say, touch grass. Like, seriously.
Wow.
Sometimes you need to take a step back,
Quote that. Quote that.
take a step back, right? And stop over analyzing what you read in these practice articles and determining, like, what's so frustrating, right, is for me, I'm a guy that ultimately, whether it's CJ or Kenny, it goes out there week one. I'm going to be fine with it. I'm going to trust that the staff is putting the best quarterback on the field. Obviously, I'm more of a Carr guy. And I thought Carr has been the better option between the two the last 2 years.
Let's
But
go.
to start the car, yeah. But the thing in the fan base of like, well, Carr threw three picks. Well, maybe he's not the guy. Kenny didn't throw 3 picks, so maybe we should just give it to Kenny. There are some people out there that are even legitimate, like not trolling, legitimate, like, well, could Tyler Buckner be an option? And I'm
I
like,
said
are
from
you?
day one, put Tyler Warner in the first play of the game, have them have him stack the box, Malachi Fields on the go route, play action pass,
Yeah.
touchdown, and then 7-0 a go up 7-0 against Miami. Or he throws a pick, and then we start off like shit. But yeah. But no,
So
it's just
yeah,
they need to. It really just needs to be this. People need to understand that we as fans, like I think people forget this. What's the number one thing? Even though I hate Paul Feinbaum, I think this show's a complete joke. It's just SEC bums. No offense to SEC commentators, but the fans on that show who call in have you guys any life outside of calling into the Paul Feinbaum show. But the what does Paul Feinbaum say? Last year, Notre Dame did not have the players better than Penn State. Stack wise, Abdul Carter's the best defender on the field. Nick Singleton and or Tyler Warren was the best offensive player on the field. But Notre Dame had the better coach. We have one of the best coaches in the country, and we have one of the best coaching staffs in the country. Let's rely on our coaching staff. We don't hire these guys just to show up there and be like, "Hey guys." Well, no, we hired Gino Aduli to go out there and piss off the fan base. But the rest of them, they're actually there to do their job.
yeah, no, and again,
I'm definitely hated by a lot of the people in the SEC. After that,
I just look at it from a standpoint of, and I've even heard the whole, well, how come when Kenny performed bad in the spring game, it's like they're like, well, Carr threw 3 picks, and all everybody wants to say is it's excuses for why he threw even though you're trying to give them context of, hey, one of them legitimately wasn't his fault. KK Smith just couldn't catch the ball, and it ricocheted off of his leg. The other one was, again, described as Tay Johnson making a Kyle Hamilton type of play, which to me means that's not a play that typically is going to happen in a game. And then you see, well, Kenny didn't play well. He threw a pick, and his pick was described as one of those throws you just never make, right? And so that's where
I
I'm at.
guarantee you is he scrambled out of the pocket, tried to throw it off the side of the field.
Yeah.
Either
Or
that, or
like kind
he,
of like what a Drew Allard thing where you threw it right back across across the
yeah,
other side of the field. Yeah.
yeah. Like, well, and that's the other thing. People also don't remember Kenny Minchie accuracy rise was terrible in the spring game. Like,
It's bad.
it made Ian Book the time he threw the football and hit the Louisville cheerleader look like a good pass. Like that would be Kenny Minchie's best pass of all the incompletions during the spring game. And no, Joe Allen is correct. We had 0 catches. We allowed 0 catches. Drew Aller's a terrible quarterback. That's why we allowed 0 catches. um, but yeah, at the end of the day, like we just need to take a second, calm down. It's also the first day of practice. Hell, I remember who was it? Um, not Shadur Sanders. There was some rookie quarterback coming in this year who, oh wait, Anthony Richardson, the better example, because I can actually name it. He had one of the worst passes of spring camp this year, and now he's beating out Daniel Jones for the starting spot. Like, if you look at that singular play, look at how he did day one of practice, and now he's probably at the starting spot over Jones. Like, it's just, we got to calm down. It's one practice. They're not going to go back and be like, oh, well, you threw 3 picks in the first practice season. We have to go with the other guy. Like, it's going to be a lot more.
Well, I just don't get the mindset of people that freak out off of one practice report. Like, realistically, there's how many practices do they get? They get about 3 weeks of practices, so about 21,
What
something like that.
they started last Thursday. The first game's August 31st.
Yeah. And I believe fall camp ends like the week before the game. So like there's going to be about 20 of these practices. I will say if we're sitting here on say August 15th, like the date that you think that the quarterback situation will be announced,
Mhm.
and Carr's throwing 3 picks,
But yeah,
still
we'll talk about it.
we'll
Yeah.
sit and have a talk about it and be like, that's concerning because you didn't learn from day one and you didn't improve from day one of camp. But that's the thing is like everybody's like, well, okay, it's first day, throw 3 picks. All right, give it to Kenny. call Tyler Buckner back up. This is concerning. It's like, chill out. We got to chill out. And again, also, this isn't an excuse, but you got to keep in mind that these quarterbacks are facing a top 3 secondary in college football. And, like, that's not going to happen every single week. Like, I guarantee you Miami secondary is nowhere close to Notre Dame's. Right? Like,
well, no, depends on what Miami fan you ask.
Oh, yeah.
They got the Legion of Boom back there.
They think they're going to lock up our receivers like it's nothing.
Yeah. It's just, I just think we need to, like I said, well, I'm giving it August. I think August 15th will be when they announce it. It's the last practice before the weekend, right? Is August 15th? It's Friday.
Yep.
Yeah, last practice for the weekend. Then you get a full week of fall camp with your starting quarterback. Then you have to start finding out which players fit better with the starting quarterback. Does Jordan Fajon with his ability? What's that word I'm looking for? With his tenure as a wide receiver. I'm gonna say tenure. I can't think of the word. Is that going to fit better with a younger quarterback, a guy who hasn't played before, or is Will Pauling going to fit better with CJ Carr? Even though we both know Malachi Fields and Jaden Greathouse will be the 1 and 2.
Yeah.
The real question is going to be Will Pauling or Jordan Fajon. So you'll have to figure out, is Jordan Fajon being here longer, playing more, is that going to fit better CJ Carr or Will Pauling? And of course, Kenny Minchie, if it ends up being Kenny as well.
Well, that's one of the great things that you've heard, and this will kind of transition to the receiver concerns, because that's been another thing of fall camp. There, I'll have to try to find it if I can. But they put out like the one-on-ones with, like, Malachi Fields was against Creed Thomas, Jaden Greathouse was against Devontae Smith, and it seemed like they were struggling to gain separation. One of the rep, and again, these are just one-on-one reps, and they're 1 rep apiece, so we don't get to see the other 5-6 reps that these guys had against each other.
What were the matchups?
So it was Malachi Fields on Creed Thomas, Jaden Greathouse against Devontae Smith. I want to say it was Carson Hobbs against Elijah Burris. It was one of the walk-ons against Elijah Burris. That was the one where he cooked him and made the guy fall. But there was some other. The main 2 was Malachi Fields and Jaden Greathouse were on Creed Thomas, who's a backup, and on Fields, and then, like we talked about, Devontae Smith, who's going to be a starter against Greathouse. Greathouse got locked up.
Oh, and I don't know how many people know this. Devontae Smith's a pretty damn good ball player. Like,
yeah,
and I remember when Cincinnati recruited him. They recruited him pretty hard. Of course, at the end of the day, he went to Alabama, or he went somewhere. At the end of it, he ended up being at Alabama. Yeah, it was. I can't remember if he ended up going. There was another SEC school in there. I don't remember if he committed there and transferred. But at the end of the day, he ended up at Alabama, transferring Notre Dame. Notre Dame's got to get a good ball player. Devontae Smith probably starts on most Big 12 defenses. It's probably number 1 corner. He will start at UC this year, 100%. And then, of course, he's just – and realistically, I think it shows how good Christian Gray is, or how good this coaching staff believes Christian Gray is going to be. Because Devontae Smith's considered the 3rd corner on the staff chart.
So that means but he's playing slot. So
he's playing slot. But they're seeing him as a 3rd-rated corner on the team's what I mean.
Yeah.
When it comes to who they value. So that means that Christian Gray was able to beat him out overall and look better this past season, that they trust him more than, of course, last year, Clark was a slot corner?
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a big thing. And also, I think Devontae Smith, low-key, might be able to lead college football in interceptions, because they're going to have to force to throw the ball his way a lot more. I don't challenge Christian Gray as much this year. I think they're just going to try to lean the ball towards more Devontae Smith's way, because, of course, Lauren Moore's not going to get as many challenges on that side.
Well, and again, this was just like the film that we got was 1 rep out of when they.
So that could just be 1 play. Yeah.
But the thing was, the people were taking away from it was that Notre Dame still has a separation problem with the receiver unit. Now for Fields
Yeah, he's always
got,
had a separation problem.
he got minimal separation against Cree Thomas. It was one of those plays where it was a, you know, 5 yard or not 5 yard, yeah, 5 yard. Cree Thomas puts his hands in his chest, and then and it was an in route. And when Cree Thomas put his hands in his chest, that's when the separation, the minimal separation, there wasn't much, but that was when it was gained because Malachi Fields was able to out physical Cree Thomas. But people took away from that. Well, if Malachi Fields is supposed to be this great receiver, shouldn't he be absolutely eviscerating Cree Thomas, who's viewed as a backup corner?
Well,
And
I think people are forgetting a lot of the time in college football. These one-on-ones really only matter in the world of one-on-ones. It doesn't matter in the whole overall of college, of how a football game works,
yeah,
because they're not always got to be in man-to-man. They're very rarely always in man-to-man. A lot of times they're in their own covered spreads in their own area. So I would just wait and see how the once another thing. Wait to see how the season goes. Let's get to the first game of the year. And I guarantee you, we're gonna be like, wow, all that stuff we said about Malachi Fields sounds really stupid now because he just burnt Miami for like 110 yards on 7 catches. Like,
well, I also think people don't understand what Malachi Fields' game is. His game's not necessarily burning people off the line and getting 5 yards of separation. That's not his. He's a go ball guy that you throw it up there, and because he's more physical and he's six
you gotta
foot
get the ball.
four, yeah. The one that would be more concerning would be Greathouse. But again, I'm not as concerned about Greathouse against Devontae Smith because I think Devontae Smith is that good. And all the reports that you see coming out of camp, Devontae Smith is filling into that, like, not in terms because he's not playing the same position as Watts, but he's taking over that leadership role that Watts kind of left.
Mhm.
And to me, you even look like you watch his highlights from camp with the wearing number 0, the dreads out the back of the he looks like Xavier Watts out there.
Wow,
So
Fravel, wow.
what? Oh, okay. All right. But anyway, all right, next up, let's get into our next topic. So Elijah Golden, who was supposed to commit originally July 26th, another prediction has went in for him to land at Notre Dame by Steve Wilfong. Like I said, he commits this Saturday. We'll be doing a live watch party for his commitment at 2:15 Central, so that's 3:15 Eastern. Be sure to be there for that. We'll be over there with the Alabama guys from the Alabama, our Voice of Alabama, Voice of College Football Alabama channel, as well as the
Sweet
Virginia guys,
home Alabama.
the Virginia Tech guys, as well as some Oklahoma guys. So be sure to tune in for that. But I know that he pushed back his date, and like everyone does when a kid pushes back a commitment date, everyone's like he gone. That's what everybody was commenting under it. He's not going to Notre Dame anymore. I think that we can kind of cool that down. I still think it looks like he's going to end up at Notre Dame. And I feel like this is the last big target left on the board. And it looks like Notre Dame will be done for the most part with the 26 class. You still feeling good? Because I know when we last talked about this, he had moved back his date, and you're like, that's not typically a good sign. How are you feeling now?
Um, him moving back his date was a decision he made.
Mm-hmm.
I thought there'd be more to come out with him moving back his date. Like maybe like he plans on taking another visit somewhere else, or maybe we hear stuff like, oh, he got an offer, or he got offered some NIL package somewhere. It didn't sound like any of that happened, which is a good thing because I think that means we're gonna get him.
Mm-hmm.
It's just how many visits has he taken to Notre Dame?
7 visits.
7 visits to Notre Dame. He pushed. It's just one of those things you have to question it. Like if you take it 7 visits to the school, that shows that you at least like the school. You like it enough to go 7 times. You would think you'd like it enough to spend the next 4 years of your career here. Um, I just feel like it's got to be one of those things where we don't get him. It probably has to do with that pushback. I would not shock me if there was an offer that came through. If it does have to do with money or have to do something with family. Um,
Mhm.
it also wouldn't shock me if we get him because everyone's saying we're getting him.
Yeah, it's one of those things, and again, I wasn't. I remember when everybody in the group chat was freaking out about it and thinking, "Oh, it's not a good sign." Oklahoma. There were reports that Oklahoma was kind of trending and making a big push late, um, but evidently, like just from some other stuff I've read and everything like that, like it sounds like this was more of uh, a family thing. I don't necessarily know exactly, but it was just more of it was a family thing. It was a family reason why he wanted to push it back. Plus, this is the biggest decision of this kid's life where he's going to go, and he wanted to make sure that he got it right. So,
Mm-hmm.
to me, if that's all true, and that's again, we don't want to speculate because we don't know. But if that's all true, and then you see the prediction from Wilfong coming in, I feel pretty good that he wants to go to Notre Dame.
Yeah, that's the other thing. We do need to remember that these are it's at least currently being it's going to be the biggest decision of this kid's life. Now, of course, he goes to the NFL, he's got to make a lot bigger decisions. But and of course, things like this will happen. Like, oh, Grandpa can't make it in. Grandpa has to have a surgery, or your Aunt Susan can't get off work, or something like that. Could easily do this. I guarantee you, this kid's a family oriented kid. He seems like it. There's
Yeah,
nothing that he has done or posted on Twitter or Instagram that doesn't seem like that. And then, of course, I say that, and something will come out like tomorrow afternoon about it. And I'll just look like an idiot. But
yeah,
um, it would not shock me if that has to do with it. And nothing wrong with that. Like I agree with him then on pushing it back. It's just one of those things where you take that many visits, like and maybe he made a silent commitment, and that's why Notre Dame's not really freaking out about it. Because at the end of the day, these are just public commitments. Because
yeah,
Nick Reddish said he committed during the visit, but he didn't have his commitment date set for like another month.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah. And then what? Kayon Finley committed during the Texas visit.
Yeah,
Silently
which is crazy.
committed during a Texas visit. And, yeah, like that's just. But yeah, at the end of the day, if it's a family thing, completely understand it. It's just a little odd, just because he's taken so many visits and then the pushback.
Well, and again, and this is the thing that irks me a little bit when we get to recruiting because we see Michigan fans do this a lot, and some of our own fans kind of do it. When this first news broke that he was pushing it back to August 9th, you get all the "he gone" comments or "somebody must have dropped the bag" comments, and to me, it's like I've interviewed the kid, and I've talked to him, a couple times over the last couple years, and you can typically get a sense. And like it's kind of, I don't hate to quote Mike Singer here, but when you interview a kid and you talk to them, you can kind of get a feeling of if they're a Notre Dame kid and everything like that. When I interviewed him, the first thing he mentioned about where he wanted to go to school was academics. That was the biggest thing for him, right? He screamed Notre Dame kid. When this pushback came, my first thought wasn't NIL because to me, everything I've seen, read about the kid, talked to him, he doesn't seem like an NIL driven kid. Like he's very family oriented. Academics matter to him and his family. Like it doesn't. That's why like my first thought wasn't that, and I think that it kind of was like that's why I was like everyone else was freaking out. I'm like I still think he's going to Notre
Real quickly, Singer dropped the suit. And then
Dame.
also,
Yeah,
yeah, well, that's the other thing. I think I a lot with the Joey O'Brien commitment with Penn. Like, oh, he wasn't smart to get into Penn State. I'm like, are you sure?
Are you sure?
Or no offense, but otherwise, the difference between getting there. But also, like these kids.
Marcus, your mic's
They're,
cutting out. By the
oh,
way.
is my mic cutting out? Can you hear
Yeah,
me
yeah,
better?
yeah. It's better now.
when kids make these commitments to come to Notre Dame, they make more of a commitment just to play football. They're making a commitment to be a top A student, or not a top A student, a top student in their class. They're making a commitment that withholds something. Not saying that you don't have that commitment with other schools, but a lot of schools in college football now, like, C's get degrees. That's what they preach to their players. Like, show up, sit in the front row, and you're done. That's all you got to do. If they even make you show up. A lot of the times you have kids that they get told just take online classes and then, use that good old chat GBT. But
Yeah.
it's just a commitment that you make to their day. And the fact that and that's why whenever we get a big like this, I'm really excited because that means that there's still hope in college football that these kids want to actually commit to something more than just a sport.
100%. 100%. So, like I said, Elijah Golden, he commits August 9th, 2:15 Central Time, 3:15 Eastern. We'll be doing a live watch party, so make sure you go over there and join us. Um, it'll be streamed here, so make sure you tune in for that. Next topic. So the coaches poll dropped. Was it yesterday or today? One of the two. Yesterday, and so there was a lot of obviously anytime you drop a top 25, there are people that aren't happy. Me personally, I'm not mad at where Notre Dame is at 5. Right? I think I had them anywhere from 3 to 7. I thought that was that was a good range for them. What are your thoughts on where Notre Dame, fits in here? Is there anybody that's ahead of them you don't necessarily agree with? Anybody behind them you think, maybe could have an argument? How do you feel about
Now, realistically, my own opinion, Coach Poll is the paper it's written on. No one cares.
it? Yeah.
AP poll is at least shown on TV when they play the game. But
Yeah.
Coach Poll is a good way to show, like, at this point right now, where the AP voters gotta see it, how other people see it, because at the end of the day, it is somewhat taken into the fact when it comes to rankings.
Yeah.
Well, I understand from the coaches poll. I don't know how they do it. I don't know who all they ask, all that crap. Um, Georgia with Gunnar Stockton wasn't Gunnar Stockton wasn't a good enough quarterback to beat Notre Dame, per Georgia fans and per Georgia reporters and per some college football fans. But now Georgia with Gunnar Stockton's good enough to be better than Notre Dame when Georgia
Yeah.
lost more players than Notre Dame and lost more offensive production than Notre Dame.
Doesn't fit their narrative.
Like, it's just that doesn't make any sense. And of course, I said this coach poll, AP poll might be completely different. I do think there's some bias there towards the SEC. AKA, you can't have a real poll unless you have 4 top 10 SEC teams, and it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Um, other schools on there, Miami being ranked 10.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I'm not against it. I wouldn't be. I definitely would not be against top 15 ranking for Miami,
Yeah.
but 10 ranking is pretty crazy. Maybe I definitely see them better than Arizona State and Illinois. I don't see them better than South Carolina. I don't see them better than Michigan.
Realistically, for me, I don't think Miami's a top 10 team. And again, part of it for me, when I do my preseason rankings, I value more what happened last year and also in part of returning production into this year. Miami went 10-3 last year with losses to Georgia Tech, Syracuse, and Iowa State, with the best quarterback they've had maybe all time. I don't really know who, I know they've won national championships, but
he's the best pure quarterback talent they've ever had. Yes.
yeah. And then you add Carson Beck, who's coming off an injury, and you lose. They're adding 6 new pass catchers that did not play last year for them. So that to me, Carson Beck's learning a new offense. Then they're going to have a completely revamped defense. To me, that's a lot. Now, I like it from a standpoint of hey, if you're telling me number 5 Notre Dame at number 10 Miami, week 1, and that benefit, if Notre Dame were to win, that would benefit Notre Dame's schedule, right? Even though what you'd probably get was Well, Miami wasn't that good, or you know, Miami
Well, no,
realistically didn't
realistically,
have.
Miami could be a team that's in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Now, week one Miami is not going to be as good as week 12 Miami, if we're being real here, just
yes,
because of all the. It's kind of like the Ryan Leonard thing. Week one Ryan Leonard was not good as week 12 Ryan Leonard. Week two Ryan Leonard was nowhere near as good as week 12 Ryan Leonard.
yeah,
But, like, yeah, it's just. And the only other team I don't like on here, I don't like where Oregon's ranked. I think Oregon, I like that we're ranked above Oregon because it's really showing that, hey, just because you have Dante Moore does not mean that you fixed your quarterback problem. Dante Moore has not been a good quarterback. Now, is he a talented quarterback? Yeah, but he has not shown up field. Then Alabama, who's their starting quarterback? Ty Simpson.
yeah. I don't. And Ty Simpson to me is
You can get the ball Ryan Williams is all that matters.
he's
Only
probably
10 games.
this might piss off Alabama fans, but
He's a Mac Jones repeat.
and I'm not going to say this on the Alabama show, but Ty Simpson might be the worst Alabama quarterback we've seen since Jake Coker. But hey, Jake Coker took them to got him a natty.
I
So
don't
I
know.
mean,
Tyler Buckner kind of sucked.
oh yeah. I will say I am surprised that Clemson. If anything, I would swap Clemson and Georgia because I would understand having Clemson ahead of Notre Dame. Clemson's
I
returning a lot
wouldn't.
of production. Cade Klubnik is one of the top three quarterbacks in college football this year. He's a Heisman favorite. Like that, they're returning everybody on that defense. I
The big thing with Clemson, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Clemson didn't have a win against a top 10 team last year, or a top 15 team at least. Okay, SMU,
No,
of
they
course,
didn't.
in the
Yeah,
ACC
SMU was the only
championship.
one. Yeah,
But then they got murdered by Texas. They got murdered by Georgia. You can't, and I'm fine with having Clemson in the top 10. I think they'll be a college football playoff team. There might be a team who could win it. But on this point of the season, like we're starting the season, I don't think you could say the returning production thing is better than the Notre Dame, who made it to the Natty, is returning a lot of production. Is better than Penn State, who made it to the semifinals, returning a lot of production. Better than Ohio State, who made it to the semifinal or won the Natty, is returning their best wide receivers and returning a decent amount, or they're returning the best defensive player in college football, and Caleb Downs, and better than Texas, who's returning a lot of production and made it to the semifinals. Georgia, I'd understand if you want to put them above. I would completely understand if you want to put them above Georgia.
yeah. Another thing I want to point out, and I'm going to pull this up here in a second, but I went through each top 25 team and kind of looked at how many top 25 teams each team, but based off of this, obviously, which doesn't matter until the AP poll comes out. But I went over each top 25 team schedule and how many ranked teams based off of the coaches poll they would play. It's ironic that a lot of people say Notre Dame doesn't play a tough schedule and plays nobody but Navy, Army, and Air Force when we play the same amount of ranked teams as basically everybody in the Big Ten. But yeah, it's different because we're not playing it, but or it doesn't mean anything because we're not playing in the conference, right? Right, Ben?
Well, so one big thing I think we remember is when we're playing these games, Boise State will not be ranked at the end of the season. I really hate to tell Boise State fans this.
Yeah.
If they are, they play a lot better. The team is a lot better than what Ashton Jeanty left. Greg Max has become a lot better of a quarterback in one offseason. I don't think he can do that. But we're playing A&M in Miami. I think A&M could probably be a ranked team at the end of the season. And then, of course, Miami could win the ACC.
Yeah.
You look at realistically, USC could be ranked. Like, what's USC's first part of schedule? I could see them winning 4 games. Like,
Yeah,
the
they
hardest
have
game is Illinois.
so they have a 3 game stretch where it's at Illinois, home versus Michigan, then at Notre Dame. That to me is brutal because I think Illinois is going to be solid. Michigan's going to be solid. That could be a stretch where USC gets broken, like we saw last year, where they started off really well. They played Michigan. They got beat up in that game. They got beat up against Penn State. Like, and they went on that losing streak. Like, I could see that for them, but yeah, USC could be a potential ranked win.
I think that could. I think there's a. I think there's a chance they can beat Michigan at home, but they could be 5-1 going in their game. They're going to beat Missouri State. Jesus Christ, they play Missouri State. I thought that was a basketball high school. They play Georgia Southern. They play Purdue. They play Michigan State. They play at Illinois, and they play at home against Michigan. Telling me they can't win one of those two games of Illinois Michigan is crazy. That's probably going to be a top 25 game for them. And then what's our other games? I want to say there's one more team. Oh, crap. Pittsburgh or Navy, really. Navy's schedule isn't that good. I could definitely see them repeating, having a really good season leading up to us, and then of course getting thrown to the wolves. Yeah, the
Yeah,
only team on Navy's schedule I would be somewhat scared of is was South Florida good last year.
they were like 6-6.
Yeah, but yeah, that's another. Well, everyone's gonna be like, oh, it's a Naval Academy team. Like, okay, guess what? They still beat all these other teams. They beat Oklahoma. Like, stupid crap like that.
But the thing that's interesting again, and this is just going back to the point where like people say Notre Dame doesn't play anybody. Michigan's schedule is dog shit. Like they play one preseason ranked team, and I guarantee you that's not going to change with the 8 people. Their schedule is terrible.
Wait, do
They
they
play
not play
Ohio
Illinois?
State. They don't play Illinois this year. They don't play Oregon. They don't play Penn State. They
Or
don't
are
play
you?
Indiana. Yeah. Ohio State is the only ranked team they play as of right now.
Yeah.
That's terrible. And that's where like it's like if people were like, "Oh, Notre Dame would join the Big Ten, they'd be below Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, and Michigan every single year." It's like now with schedules like that, like our schedule is harder than that. It's just one of those things I don't get why there's that narrative out there where just because even you could show a Big Ten fan this, right? And they'd still say, well, Notre Dame's not in a conference. It's not as hard when you're not in a conference.
And that's the thing I think people are forgetting that college football isn't as separate as it was in 2016 with these conference teams versus these non-conference teams. And realistically speaking, like for example, a team who was really good in the 2010 era was like Northwestern was shockingly good. And then once they played other teams out of conference, they got their asses handed to them
Yeah.
because the Big Ten realistically was a 3-team race. And most of the time, 2 of the teams was Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State who were on the same side of the race.
Yeah.
Because remember it was Big Ten South and Big Ten North?
It was Big Ten East and West.
East and West. One of the 2 general directions.
Yeah.
So, and most of the time, the top teams were on one side of the race. So it allowed teams like Wisconsin and Iowa to make it to the Big Ten championship. And they're going to rank the Big Ten, a team that makes the Big Ten championship, a top 15 team. They're always going to do it. Well, at least at the time they did. But realistically, Iowa was not a top 15 team. Wisconsin, they had Jonathan Taylor. They were a top 15 team. But there was also times Wisconsin looked bad against bad teams, and they would not have made it if it was just a complete
What was it the
conference.
last year? The last year of the Big Ten West before they get Purdue, 8-4.
Purdue,
Purdue made the
yeah,
Big Ten championship at 8-4.
yeah.
That's just
Shout out Alex Maxwell, Purdue all-time wide receiver. Only everyone's
but
now. Yeah, it's just Purdue at 8, and I remember that game because I remember sitting there watching like, oh, Michigan's just gonna kick the living shit out of a team from Indiana.
and then like
But
I
yeah,
would understand like the whole conference thing. Like the Big Ten acts like they're the SEC.
mm-hmm.
If every Big Ten team, or at least a majority,
Well, to be exact, I would say the Big Ten is better than the SEC this year, the top teams, but the
yes.
gauntlet of the SEC teams is not better than the gauntlet of
Like
the Big
look
Ten
at
teams.
Florida. Florida plays 7 preseason top 25 teams.
Mm-hmm.
That's what like if you were telling me if Notre Dame had to play 7 top 25 teams every year, would Notre Dame be more likely to go 11-1, 12-0? Obviously not. But not every team in the Big Ten And not every team in the SEC plays 7 top 25 teams every year. Florida just got screwed the last 2 years with that schedule.
Well, just eyeballing it here.
Yeah.
I count, about all but 2 SEC teams play more top 25 teams than any Big Ten team.
Yeah.
Georgia plays more. No,
LSU.
Alabama plays the same amount. LSU plays more. South Carolina plays more. Ole Miss plays the same amount. Florida plays more. Texas A&M plays more. And people, and straight out coach today for making yourself look like an idiot on live TV. It's one of the many times he does it because he can't shut his mouth. We're gonna do the SEC route, schedule crappy out of conference games. What do you mean? Florida plays Miami, A&M plays Notre Dame, Texas plays Ohio State, who's Georgia play out of conference? Actually, wait, I don't know if they play anybody.
I don't think they play anybody this year. South Carolina plays Syracuse, or South Carolina plays Virginia Tech. Tennessee plays Syracuse.
Tennessee plays Syracuse.
Yeah.
And then what? What was the other one I was thinking of? Alabama plays Florida State, who was supposed to be a good team. LSU opens up the year at Clemson.
Yes, yeah.
Like, Coach Cignetti just needs to learn to shut the hell up. He's a con artist. Okay, guess what's going to happen? They're going to play a real schedule this year, probably win 7 games. He's going to buy himself an extra year, and he's just going to be a 7-win type of player, a type of coach. He's going to be like, I don't even know, dude.
You know,
he's going to be a 7-win coach.
I didn't know Indiana football fans.
He's a Walmart Brian Kelly.
I didn't know Indiana football fans.
So no, he's the Payless Brian Kelly. He's Walmart Brian Kelly.
Ben, I didn't realize that. Ben, I didn't realize that. Indiana football fans existed until this past year when we played them, right? And they were.
They don't exist.
Insufferable. They were insufferable.
Well, you understand what Notre Dame basketball fans have put up with for the past 15 years.
Well, and then we made our post on Week Zero, our Week Zero podcast, where we went through and did our Big Ten breakdown. We have Indiana finishing 8-4, right? And we have them finishing 9th in the conference. They lost their mind in the comment section. We went 11-1 last year, and we gave Nebraska belt to ass. You guys don't know ball. We're gonna be up for the Big Ten championship this year. And I said, "What?
You're not winning at Penn State. You might beat Illinois. You're not winning at Iowa. You're not winning at what's the other one?
They play Oregon.
Man, Indiana State's a tough match.
They play Oregon too. You're getting your.
Well, they're not winning at Oregon.
I don't know where the confidence comes.
They're not winning at Iowa. They're not winning at Oregon. They're not winning at Penn State. That's 3 losses right there. I don't think they beat Illinois at home. I don't think they beat first Big Ten game of the season. They play Illinois at home. They're not beating Illinois at home.
Well, I don't know where the false confidence comes from with Indiana. I didn't even know they existed.
Well, no, this is what Indiana basketball fans are like too. They flex. Well, actually, they're pretty similar to Notre Dame football fans. They flex a championship that they never watched. They didn't watch happen. And they flex a head coach who legitimately got sent away for choking out a player on the sideline.
Well, and I got told by these Indiana fans that they got exponentially, that's the word, exponentially better than they were last year.
They're going to need expedited shipping for when they return their jerseys. Okay, now I will say this. The Cal quarterback's a decent quarterback.
He is.
He's a pro-style quarterback. He's not bad. But they have a decent defensive back.
I explained this to them. I said, but again, that could be true. You don't have the same schedule you did last year.
Yeah.
When we saw what happened when you played Notre Dame and Ohio State, you got your shit pushed in.
Mm-hmm. Which I hope Indiana is good, because it brings more than just Notre Dame football to the state of Indiana, football-wise.
Yeah.
But they're talking shit like they've been this top team, or Coach McNay has actually done something. The guy had a negative 35 plus minus against or score differential against teams with eight or more wins.
Yeah,
Negative 35. How in the world, like, just
it
I
doesn't
don't
make
like.
sense.
I really hope in the end it turns out to be well. I hope they get away from this Coach McNay scam that he's putting on. The guy openly told you first day when he's like, "Oh, look at the schedule. I can win 8 games with this schedule." He's looking at how bad the schedule is and saying, "I don't even make a good team." And then he goes out on ESPN College Game Day and says, "Oh well, look at me, look me up. I win game, bro. Look you up, dude. You haven't won shit."
Well, then he made fun of Notre Dame playing Army. Like,
Oh yeah, Indiana State's such a hard school. Go Sycamores. What, the Foxes? Shit, we're scared. The Coyotes. Go the Sycamore, and then their mascot's a coyote.
yeah, Western
Like,
Illinois is such a great football program.
I don't know. Like, Coach McNetty, he's gonna sell so many books when he gets fired. He's got to sell his own training program. He's gonna be like
Oh,
the drop. No, his backup plan for college football was drop shipping. Why
oh
Indiana
yeah.
fans don't like me? They're usually in my comments yelling at me. They don't like
One
me.
final thing on the top 25 I want to ask is I kind of do this with mine. Do you have like, because to me, I think Ohio State should be the number one team in the nation just to start off because one, defending national champs. And I feel like when you win the national championship, you should get the number one ranking the next year, unless like something catastrophic happens. You lose your head coach, like you lose
You lose your
everybody to
head
the draft.
coach. There's a
Yeah,
cheating scandal about you.
yeah,
Half your team leaves. You're
yeah.
from the state of Michigan.
They find like a 500-page manifesto about how you're going to take over the
Oh,
program.
geez. Bro, I'm telling you this, dude. Connor Stallion is the Unabomber about college football.
Did you saw that Central Michigan is now getting hit with an NOA?
He should.
Oh, but no,
The
like
guy
I
did
feel
a
like
500-page manifest. Oh, we could talk about that later.
I do feel like Ohio State should get the number one. I get the Texas thing. I'm not fully bought into Texas this year. I think they're one of the teams that can win it. But I'm of the mindset you win a national championship, you should get the number one ranking heading into the next year until someone beats you. That's how I look at it. Do you kind
Yeah,
of agree?
I agree with that in a different position. Big thing with Ohio State is they lost their two top running
Yeah.
backs to the NFL draft. They lost two of their best edge rushers in JTT and Jack Sawyer to the NFL draft. They lost their quarterback to the NFL draft. They lost their defensive coordinator to Penn State. They lost their second best receiver in Emeka Ibuka to the draft. And they have a new tight end. There's a lot of turnover on that team. And not saying Max Clare isn't. I think Max Clare is going to be a front runner to win the Mackey. I think he should. I don't see a way he doesn't win it. Like they're going to double those freaking wide receivers, and I could see Max Clare winning it, best tight end award.
I think
Also,
it's going to be
we're not replacing Will Howard with a proven quarterback. We're replacing him with Julian Sand, which is not saying Julian Sand is bad, but he is going to be first ever college snap he's ever taken. And it's kind of the same situation with Notre Dame. First ever college snap you're ever going to take against a tough team. Now, Texas is better than Miami by a lot, but the number one team in the country.
yeah, I agree. I think to me, I feel like Ohio State should get that benefit of the doubt just because they did win a national and the way that they won it. Like they didn't just win it; they blew out everybody on their way to a championship. I feel like that's worthy of the number one ranking. But anyway, let's get to our final topic, and then we can get out of here. Notre Dame announced that they're going to wear their green jerseys, the annual Irish Wear Green game, will be against Boise State, who we're gonna kind of give some early thoughts on here. But first things first, do you like the decision to wear the green jerseys against Boise State and not USC? I know that was a thing that some fans complained about.
I say every rivalry game you wear your premium primetime jerseys. You do not wear any special jerseys for rivalry games. I die on that sword. Um, and you know what? Let Jay and Mickey know he's missing out on. Sure, flex it. I could truly care less what jerseys they wear. I think it was a lot of the players' decisions. But it was talked about with the players like, hey, what jerseys do you guys want to wear for these games, and where do you guys want to insert the green jerseys? They probably wanted to get just what last year was. I want to say around the same week, wasn't it? Fourth week of the season, fifth week of the
Who did
season.
we? Who do we? Oh, we were
Louisville.
against Louisville. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and I want to say, oh wait, that was technically BYU was technically a Shamrock Series game,
yeah. That was a Shamrock. Yeah. Uh, and then what was it? The year before was we wore the green jerseys against Cal, which was a weird
which was
decision.
week 3.
Yeah. Uh, I just look at it and like I think the thing with Notre Dame USC is different. Like I know you brought up you wear your premium jerseys like what you typically wear,
Yeah.
but that series has been Notre Dame has pulled out in the past special uniforms specifically for that rivalry, like the white the white jerseys with the green numbers they pulled out that one time. Actually, the first time the green
Mhm.
jerseys came out was against USC.
Yeah. Which
So
I'm
I think
fine with.
that's part of it.
If you like the historical part of it, that's fine. The way I see it is that it's your rival. It's rivalry schools. You're showing your school what it stands for and their school what it stands for, and you're going at it. That's where I stand on it. But who knows? Maybe the USC game will wear black jerseys. I heard the swim coach was talking about it a lot.
Yeah, yeah, I did hear that. No, I'm joking. Um, but no. Anyway, getting to the Boise State game. Obviously, Ashton Genty is there no longer. Um, their starting quarterback is returning. They're returning Caples, who was their best receiver last year. They lost their best defensive player on the D line to the portal. Realistically, I know you said you don't expect Boise State to end the season ranked. Um, do you think that Boise State can pose a challenge or a threat to Notre Dame, especially if it is the case where Boise State's not that good, that they're not as good as they were last year. They come in against Notre Dame. Say Notre Dame's undefeated at this point, and they take on an unranked G5 team at home. That is technically, or that has not ended up very well for Notre Dame in the Marcus Freeman era. Any worries with Boise
Now,
State?
I will say this: I think Boise State will end the season unranked, but I think it will be once they get into conference play, we'll see them lose games. I think this will be a ranked matchup.
Okay, because this is week 6. Do you think they'll be undefeated by week 6?
I wouldn't say the hardest game is the opener against USF, which I
Yeah,
think USF isn't that good. And then what they play Air Force, Eastern Washington, and App State.
yeah.
I did think about it when you sent us the details for today. I did think about it a little bit. I think this will end up being like I could see Boise State being like a top 20 team, tops if maybe 18 range.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it will be an unranked matchup. I do think though that those 4 games we're going to see a lot of what Boise State, how are they going to replace Ashton Genty? I'm a hard believer that in Boise State's passing game, it's going to start the run game. They need a running back who's going to be able to control the pace and make it so their wide receivers are in one-on-ones. Now, in this situation, I don't think it matters.
Mm-hmm.
If you put Leonard Moore on him, he's not touching. No one's allowed to catching the football, and they're not going to be able to hit the slot corner because Devontae Smith's one of the best slot corners in the league. Um, it's crazy I'm saying Devontae Smith. I keep thinking of wide receiver. Why I say Devontae Smith, but um, yeah, I I could see us, and this could also just be me overhyping us, but I could see this being a 20-point blowout. I
So
could
are
also
you
see
not?
it being, I could see it being like a Miami, like in 2016, where we barely won as well.
So are you concerned at all? Because I've fought some people on the fact that Maddox Madsen wasn't a good quarterback. I thought he was decent. I mean, he threw for 3,000 yards last year, even with Ashton Genty doing what he did.
When you look at Madsen's best plays, what did it come out of? Play
Play
action.
action, yeah.
It was not a lot of shotgun passes. It wasn't a lot of it was play action, single eye formation plays. Those were the best plays that came out of. It was not shotgun. So I wouldn't. I'm not going to say like he sucks because he doesn't suck. He's a good quarterback for that type of system. But when you have a guy like Ashton Jeanty, those types of quarterbacks look a lot better than they actually are. And if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, he threw. Oh wait, it says it right here. He threw 3 interceptions against Penn State. A game
Yeah.
where Ashton Jeanty was really not shut down, but like he wasn't doing as much damage as he usually does. And of course, quarterbacks get better during the offseason, but I'm not as scared as I am compared to other quarterbacks we face.
Okay. Because
If you gave Boise State Carson Beck, I'd be like, yeah, I'm a little scared, but I'm not in this situation.
so you're not concerned at all about a typical Notre Dame letdown here in this case against Boise?
If I could predict Notre Dame letdowns, I'd be a millionaire. So I'm not going to try. If it happens,
So,
it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
all right. So, but I think I'm kind of in the same boat as you. I think they're going to take a massive step backwards when they lose Genty. I do think they'll still be a factor in the Mountain West because the Mountain West, let's be honest, outside of UNLV, it's not very good this year. So I think Boise State still can. I think they can be one of those teams that's like 9-3, maybe 8-4, and still compete for a Mountain West title. Which it helps Notre Dame's resume. As long as they're a bowl team, right? And I think they will be, but I think Notre Dame should win this game handily.
Well, and the other thing, when you look at Group of Five teams who made runs, aka the only other Group of Five team who made the college football playoffs, go Bearcats, baby, Paul down. Um, the next season, the fall off was like they were a good team. They were able to win games in their conference, but they weren't. They didn't even make the conference championship. But they weren't the best team in the conference, and they realistically played down to their opponents. I could see the same thing happen with Boise State here. Like we said, and a lot of those linemen, I want to say, well, one of them transferred out, and another one got drafted, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, and I think Boise State they could very easily. I think they'd be in the same situation where they're competing for the conference championship. I don't know if they'll win it or even make the game.
Yeah. I think UNLV has all the tools right now to win that conference just based off of everything they brought in. But yeah, I'm in the same boat. But yeah. Anyways, guys, that has been the show for tonight. Again, Sean cannot join us for, it's some personal stuff going on. But again, we'll be back Saturday for Elijah Golden's commitment. Again, that's 2:15 Central, 3:15 Eastern. Make sure you tune in for the watch party there. Shout out all the 167 people that have tuned in and watched us for this hour. Make sure you go like, subscribe, comment down below at the Voice of College Football Notre Dame. As always, we'll be seeing you guys next week, same time. As always, stay safe and go Irish.